You ever have a lucky charm? Come on, admit it. Maybe it's a specific pair of socks you just have to wear for the big game, or a certain pen you use for a big test. We've all been there, right? So you put on those socks, you go out there and play an amazing game, and your brain, well, it just snaps. It connects the dots. It sees a simple story, A, then B. And just like that, you've decided the socks caused the win. I mean, it feels so obvious, so real. But what if our brains are playing a little trick on us? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that exact trick. It has a name, the Post Hoc Fallacy. And honestly, it's one of the most common and, deceptive shortcuts our minds love to take. So let's dive in and see exactly how it works. All right, here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to put a name to this cognitive glitch. Then we'll see where it pops up in some pretty high-stakes fields like medicine. After that, we are going to unpack the crucial difference between correlation and causation. And finally, we'll give you a toolkit so you can become a fallacy detective in your own life. Okay, so let's get official. Let's put a proper name to this whole lucky socks thing. It's a specific kind of logical mistake that has a fancy Latin name, but trust me, the flawed logic behind it is super simple. The full name is post hoc ergo propter hoc. Yeah, it's a mouthful, I know, but the idea is really straightforward. It's the trap we fall into when we assume that just because event B happened after event A, then event A must have caused event B. It's all about mixing up the sequence of events with the cause of events. And that's literally what it means in Latin. After this, therefore, because of this. You can see why it's such a tempting shortcut, right? Our brains love a simple, clean story. But simple stories aren't always the true stories. And this is the flawed logic, laid out bare. You've got event A, you wear the socks. Then you've got event B, you win the game. Our brain just loves to leap right to that flawed conclusion. And in doing so, it completely ignores all the other stuff that actually matters. Like, your skill, all the practice you put in, your teamwork, or maybe even just a little bit of good old-fashioned luck. Now look, believing in lucky socks is pretty harmless, right? But what happens when this exact same mistaken thinking shows up in places where the stakes are way, way higher? Let's take a look. Yeah, this fallacy isn't just about superstitions. It is everywhere. Think about medicine. You take some new remedy, and a few days later, your cold is gone. Did the remedy work, or would you have just gotten better anyway? Or in economics, a new government policy is passed, and unemployment numbers go down. Was the policy a success, or were other forces in the market already pushing things in the right direction? It's the same flawed pattern, just with much bigger consequences. And this is why this fallacy is so dangerous. It makes us lazy thinkers. It gives us permission to just ignore all the other complex things going on, like our body's own immune system or massive global market trends. We end up grabbing the easy, simple explanation, which is not always the right one. So how do we avoid this mental trap? Well, the absolute key, is understanding one of the most important ideas in all of critical thinking: the difference between correlation and causation. This idea is the perfect antidote. Okay, let's break this down. Correlation is just two things happening in a similar pattern. They kind of move together. One goes up, the other goes up. But causation, ooh, that is a whole different beast. That means one thing directly makes the other thing happen. The post hoc fallacy is what happens when we see a simple correlation and we make the mistake of thinking it has to be causation. And this right here is the all-time classic example, and it illustrates the point perfectly. If you were to plot ice cream sales and drowning incidents on a chart, you'd see a pretty stunning correlation. As one line goes up, the other line goes up. They peak at exactly the same time. So what does that mean? Does eating ice cream cause drowning? Should we launch a global campaign against ice cream trucks to save lives? Of course not, right? It's completely absurd to think that buying a scoop of chocolate chip cookie dough has anything to do with swimming accidents. The real culprit here, the thing that explains both, is a hidden factor, sometimes called a lurking variable. And in this case, it's summer. It's the heat. When it gets hot, more people buy ice cream and more people go swimming, which unfortunately leads to more drowning incidents. The heat causes both, but the ice cream and the swimming accidents are not directly linked at all. Okay, so we've identified the glitch and we've learned the antidote. Now let's turn all this knowledge into a practical skill. Here's your official toolkit for becoming a post hoc fallacy detective. So next time you hear a claim, just put on your detective hat and ask yourself these 3 simple questions. First, is the entire argument based only on the fact that one thing happened after another? Second, is there literally no other supporting evidence? And third, this is the big one, are other possible causes being completely ignored? If the answer to these questions is yes, well, you've probably just spotted the fallacy in the wild. And really, that's what this all boils down to. Thinking critically means you have to push past that easy, simple story of A happened, then B happened. It means you have to ask, okay, but what else could be going on here? It means demanding real, actual evidence of a causal link, not just a convenient timeline. So now it's your turn to be the detective. I'm going to leave you with this question. What's some connection in your own life? Maybe a superstition, a health belief you have, or even a strong opinion that might just be your brain taking one of these deceptive little shortcuts. What obvious cause and effect in your world really deserves a second look?